You're listening to the All Day Ruckoff podcast, episode number 93. Welcome to the All Day Ruckoff podcast, episode number 93. This is your host, Brian, and I wanted to thank you so much for tuning in. The All Day Ruckoff podcast focuses on the GRT and Rucking community and includes interviews, motivation, and advice to keep you informed and get you ready for your next event. In this episode, we have a great interview with Stephanie McGrew. You might know her from the Tough group or from a lot of those offshoot Facebook groups. She's very active in the community and she's done so many events, she's not even sure of the number anymore. In this episode, we talk about a ton of different GORUCK related things. We talk about women in rucking. We talk about the all-women's virtual Ruck Club. We talk about traveling for events. She's traveled for tons and tons of events, and so she has a lot of great advice there. So if you're going to be traveling for an upcoming GORUCK event, make sure to listen into that and take notes because she's got some great tips there. In addition, we cover her first event, how she got into GORUCK and rucking, and her hometown Ruck Club. One thing to note, stick around to the end. There's going to be, like we've done in a couple episodes, I'll talk for a couple of seconds. Stephanie and I were chatting, and she ended up just giving this great tip on cleaning out bladder hoses. So if you're curious about that, stay past the end, and we'll have Stephanie's awesome advice there. I had a ton of fun talking with Stephanie on this one, and I'm just so glad that we're finally able to make some time at the same time to have the call together. Stephanie, thank you so much again for being on the show. And to everyone listening, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Today, I'm talking with Stephanie. I'm really excited to have her on the call. I've seen her face show up in tons of pictures from GORUCK events. And I'm just really excited that we've finally been able to connect and get this interview together. Stephanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much again for taking the time.
Yeah, no problem.
So I've seen, like I said, I've seen your face in just tons of event pictures. You're very active in the community. Where did all of this start? What was your first GORUCK event and how did you get into all of this?
So I am a personal trainer, and in 2013, in the midst of me starting my personal training business, I had a friend of mine she was trying to get into health and fitness, and she wanted to create a challenge for herself. And her idea was, we're going to run one race every month in the year of 2013. And so naturally she's like, hey, this is a goal of mine. Would you be interested in, doing this with me? And I was like, heck yeah, of course. So as we're signing up for these events, we signed up for a few 5Ks, a Warrior Dad, some other obstacle course types of races. A guy at her CrossFit gym in Kansas City, Missouri, said, hey, I did this GORUCK event. I would really love for our gym to do it. And that was back in the day where if you signed up, you could bring a friend with you for free. And so it's like a buddy pass to some extent. So naturally, she's like, hey, this is the event I want to do. But she was very, very candid. She's like, I'm not going to tell you the details, but all you need to know is you need a backpack with 4 bricks in it. And that was the era of bricks. Everybody just had bricks in their bag. We bought the bricks. We had a brick wrapping party. And we showed up in Kansas City. It was April, which was this time of year. It was cold. It was rainy. We had Cadre Burt, and I forgot the other guy's name. Jared, I believe, was his name. And we had our class was probably about 30 people, and it was just a great class. And the instant I did it, I was hooked. As I'm hobbling away from the event for the first time, I was just thinking, wow, I really, really need to find another event to do, or I wonder when they're going to come back to the Midwest. And so it was literally that event. I was pushed further than I'd ever been pushed before, physically, mentally. And like I said, from the moment, it started, from the moment I got patched, I was just engulfed with this idea of GORUCK and what it meant to be a part of the community and just to do the events in general.
Huge thanks to your friend for bringing you along for that. Who knows how long it would have taken for you to find GORUCK if it weren't for her?
I agree with you. Sadly enough, she no longer does GORUCK events because that event broke her, like broke her spirit. So she respectfully bowed out of doing any more of those kind of events, and I kind of took the other road and just kind of got into more events.
So, what about that first event do you think it was that made you want to keep coming back and do more of these types of events?
Like I said, I think I really enjoyed the physical and mental combination of pushing you to do the event. Like I said, the first challenge, it was overnight. So typically, we're all creatures of habit and having to get our sleep every night and wanting to be, fresh to do our workouts or, typically when you do an obstacle course race, you go to bed early the previous night and, you get to the course and then you're ready. And not knowing what's going to be thrown at you, not knowing the route you're going to take, just the whole unknown. I love the unknown aspect of it just because I just didn't want, with most obstacle course races, you can kind of guess what obstacles are coming or, it's just kind of you fall into this routine and kind of can guess things. But the great thing about the cadre who lead these events is that, some of them do kind of the same thing, but your route's going to be different. Every time your class is going to be different. So there's a lot of variables that contribute to the event being unique, no matter when you show up or how many times you do the event.
That's so true. And for a lot of those obstacle course races, if you go onto their website a month, 2 months in advance, you can see the course that you'll be running and you can see the obstacles so you can prepare for them.
Right.
I mean, with
Right.
GORUCK, you go onto the website 2 weeks in advance, you don't even still know where you're starting. It's not until about a week out that you finally get the spot. So a lot more unknowns with GORUCK.
Exactly. Which I love. I guess I'm a renegade in that aspect. Like I just love because I feel I'm always unprepared for an event. Like you can only prepare so much, and I love that because it pushes you that much further. Because you don't know what you're going to need or you don't know what your team's going to bring to the table when you're faced with those difficult challenges throughout the event. So yeah, I think that's the best part that I love the most about it is just the unknown and the awe in it. Like, oh, we're doing this or, so.
Absolutely. And you've done a handful of events so far. Do you know how many events that you've completed?
So, Eric Trainer and Jonathan Hurtado, two of my best friends, who we met actually doing GORUCK events. We have I call it like a fireside chat. We chat every week, and we were talking one night about like how many events we had done, and it was funny because Jonathan Hurtado was so excited because he was like, I finally did 60 events, and Eric and I just started laughing because those who know Eric, he does just as many, if not more, events than I do. And we both just kind of like, I know we're over 100 at some point. We just kind of, you reach a point where you stop counting because it's not about how many patches you have at that point. It's about pushing yourself or finding ways that you can be more helpful for your team as you endure and do more events. And people are in awe whenever they ask, like, do you have this like huge patch board? And I kid you not, all of my patches, like when I first started GORUCK, I did. I have like 2 frames where I put them all in order and they're in chronological order and, they're all nice and framed. And then at some point I literally just started throwing them in like a shoebox and they're under my bed. So I do plan to like display them a little bit better now that I have like an office. I'm going to like dedicate like a corner of it to like my medals and patches. But to everyone's shock and amazement, literally all of my patches are scattered throughout my bedroom and then like in a shoebox under my bed. So yeah.
And it's so much about the experience, right? And everything that you can do at the event and take away and less about the fabric. And I think that just drives that point home right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And my friend Kelly Martino, who also I've done a ton of events with, we took a year. There was like a time and period where we were like, what are all the cool new patches that we can get? So there was a point in time where we were chasing the events with like the cool and unique patches. And then I know kind of life shifts and your goals and your drive kind of changes. And so she doesn't do as many events anymore because of her workload. But my aspirations and goals changed a little bit. So it's kind of like picking and choosing the events that were better for me and my schedule and for what I wanted to achieve as an athlete that year.
Yeah, because you see some of those patch designs come through and you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind one of those. But I think that also speaks volumes. Going back to what you said a couple minutes ago, you've done over 100 events. You've lost count at this point. Yet, because of the way, kind of the randomness that GORUCK throws in there with the start point, you only know a week out. Everything's different every time. You mentioned that you still feel uneasy or just a little bit nervous before events, and it's really cool, right? Because there aren't too many other events that you can do where you can do 100 of them and it can still feel like something new when you get there.
Oh yeah, I would be lying if I didn't say I still got nervous before every event, and I still walk up and I'm still feeling unprepared and just nervous and excited. And it's more so now that GORUCK is having a wave of new cadre because they don't know who I am, and it's awesome that the community is growing. I love walking up to events and no one knowing who I am. It's very rare that that happens, but I do enjoy it because I can really push and help the team without having that pre-notion of, oh, that's Stephanie McGrew, because it does happen. And I don't like to be boastful about like the events that I've done or the patches that I've collected or the number of events that I've done, only because people they see you in a completely different light when those kind of things are talked about. Like if I talk about it, I'll usually do it at the end of the event as opposed to the beginning. And that's only because I want to be seen as equal on the team. I don't want to be seen as something more than that, which I'm not. And I do continue to do the events for the challenges and the unknown, but a lot of it I do it for like I said, Eric Trainer and John Hurtado, like that's an opportunity we get to travel to see each other. So it's really about fostering the relationships that I've created through GORUCK and having the opportunity to meet more people. So a lot of it is the people. And then I'm not going to lie. Some of the cadre have been some of my really good friends, and I will talk to them, on a semi-regular basis, just about life or things that they're doing, or if they see that I'm doing something cool. Or recently my mom was sick, and it was awesome for them to reach out to me and be like, thinking of you and your family. And just to have that camaraderie that's created because of the community has been awesome. So that's what brings me back as well.
Yeah, you really can't beat the people.
I agree.
The people that stick around and do event after event. I mean, it's a great group.
Mm-hmm.
That's so awesome that you have just such a great opportunity to travel, meet new GRT and then hang out with people who you've met at previous events. You can plan some trips out and all show up in the same spot together. That's got to be a ton of fun.
Oh goodness. It's by far one of the best parts of being a part of the GORUCK community. And the cool part, since I've done so many events, is, if I do, I also have a full-time job. And so when I travel for that job, I can reach out to the Ruck clubs or the old GRT pages and see who's in those cities that I'm going to be traveling to. And just to be able to reconnect and hang out with those people is, just the highlight of being able to just exemplify, just enjoying life a little bit more, instead of going to these cities working and then just going back to my room, to just be by myself and drown myself in television or Netflix. So, and like I said, and this is probably one of the coolest things, and I actually need to post about this on social media. By the way, I am so terrible. I need to be better at posting on social media, but I try to live in the moment, and then I take all these pictures and videos, and then I get so busy and then I forget. And so I'll post random photos at random times. But anyway, GORUCK. I'm from Lubbock, Texas, and for the longest time, there was maybe one or two GRT that lived in Lubbock because they had done an event in like Dallas or Houston. And so now there is a pretty very active Ruck Club in Lubbock, and they are awesome. Every time I come home, they always organize some kind of ruck or some kind of Ruckoff, and we get to hang out and just have that camaraderie that I get to have when I go to other cities. And that's probably one of the best parts of the community is, being able to have like-minded people. Now, when I go home, typically I kind of recluse myself and spend that time with my family since I don't get to see them regularly. But having those GRT in Lubbock has been so awesome to have friends now that are in my hometown that I get to do things with. So that's, giving a shout out to the West Texas Rucking Club right now. Because they've showed nothing but love for me since they started and since I've been traveling back and forth home.
That is so cool. And that's just another awesome part of the community. And that's great that you have a ruck club to hang out with when you go home because I live pretty close to my parents, but when I travel and visit my extended family, they're all out in Wisconsin, and we used to go out and we'd be there for 2 weeks at a time because
Hmm.
we didn't do much traveling. And so you get a lot of condensed family time. And so
Yeah.
having the opportunity to, step off, go for a ruck, hang out with some people who aren't directly related to you, it can be refreshing in the middle of a giant family trip.
Yes, it's very refreshing because you love your family, but it's family. So
There's no better way to describe that. It's a family.
yeah.
So since we're talking traveling for GORUCK events, reunions coming up in just a little bit over a month from when we're talking.
Hmm.
Do you have any quick travel tips since you've traveled for so many GORUCK events for people who might be traveling for their first time or might be a little bit nervous about, I don't know, what to do about weight, what to do about just anything with that whole GORUCK travel?
Yes, I do. I travel a lot, so I typically just check my plate or will reach out to whatever location I'm going to see if somebody has a plate that I can use. I mean, you can carry it on. It really just depends on the TSA agent in the airport. Um, I found that going through Kansas City or St. Louis airport is where I usually fly out of, or even Des Moines. They're not as concerned. And even the TSA agents are starting to recognize me now, so it's not as big of an issue. But flying back from bigger cities like Washington, D.C., or like LAX or Houston, those agents aren't as lax. So those are the cities I've had the issues if I tried to carry my plate on. So if you can, check it. And that's why I love flying Southwest because you get to check 2 free bags. So if I know I'm traveling for an event, I typically fly Southwest because I don't have to pay out of pocket to check that bag with my rec plate in it. And then I always uh, bring like contractor bags because people don't think about that. So after an event, your clothes are going to be all wet, sandy, smelly, and you don't want that to like permeate through the rest of your luggage to get your other clothes messed up and nasty. So I usually will wrap all that stuff up in contractor bags, and even my ruck, especially if you're going to go to an area that's you're going to get wet because then your ruck's going to be wet, especially if it's wet and sandy, and that's just a nightmare to clean your clothes and your suitcase after the event. I'm kind of a pack rat, so I always overpack. But I do it for good reasons because I want to have options as far as clothing to wear. Because most of the time, like I said, I'm usually flying by the seat of my pants. And I don't always get to check the weather for events of where I'm going. So I usually just pack like my cold weather gear and my hot gear, just in case I need it. I'd rather have it. There's been several events where I was like, oh, I'm going to Florida. It's going to be warm. And I ended up freezing my butt off. So I always just bring everything so I don't have to buy more stuff.
And then you've got the gear that's comfortable for you and fits and works and you're not, trying on
Yeah.
stuff 45 minutes before the event starts.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's clutch. And this is another thing a lot of people don't think about. Like my snack list is pretty I have things that I like to have during the event. And so typically I'll go ahead and buy them and just put them in my carry-on or check bag so that when I get to where I'm going, I don't have to go to 3 different stores to find the one snack that I like because I've had that issue as well. But yeah, and then also as far as like meeting people, I think that's a great part about GORUCK creating the event Facebook pages, is because it allows you the opportunity to reach out to people that are going to be at the event potentially. Like I said, I am terrible at social media. I actually ground myself from social media a lot because it can be so distracting, and I have so many moving parts of my life right now. So I always apologize and tell people in advance, like, if you send me a message on Facebook, like, I'm sorry, at any point in time, I have like 50 unread messages just because I typically, if I know that I'm going to be doing something or somewhere, I will completely, take myself away from social media, which is just my way of living in the moment. And it actually helps me more mentally to just kind of be away from being connected from my phone. Since I deal with clients all day, every day, sometimes it does get overwhelming. So that's a big part of that it's good in instances, like I said, where GORUCK, you have the Facebook pages and you can reach out to people that are going to be doing the event. And to all the ladies that are listening, I'm a huge, huge, huge supporter of the all women's events. And I know this year it's going to be in Kentucky. And as far as I know right now, my work schedule is going to allow me to be there. So that's probably one of my favorite events to do, just because you get so many badass ladies in one area together, and we do some really awesome badass things. And it just kind of proves to the community that, that whole, anything you can do, we can do better aspect. So I definitely encourage those ladies that are afraid of traveling or are thinking of it to use the all women's event as that time to travel and to try to do a GORUCK event that's not in their immediate area.
That's all amazing advice. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, no problem.
How many of the all ladies events have you gone to?
I've gone to all of them but one. And that was, I did the very first one, and I was unable to do the one that they had after that. But every other all ladies event that they've had, I've done. And like I said, the cadre throw a lot of curveballs at us because they think, they just want to break us, and, as they do with any event, not just trying to say just because we're women. They want to challenge us, and they want to prove that we're there to put in the work. But they've been some of the most fun and rewarding. And I've met some of the most awesome ladies at the all women's event. And I try to get my homegirls to go too. There's like Megan Horseman here in the Midwest. She's one of my favorite GRTs. Lindsay Luna, Carmela, she's awesome. Like, there's a whole list of ladies, and I feel bad for not naming all of them because it would take me 10 minutes to name all the awesome GRT ladies that I've met through the community and that have been rocks in my life outside of doing events. Like I said, Kelly Martino and Teresa, the ladies in Chicago, Tessa, those ladies are awesome. Yeah, there's just so many. I wish I could sit here and name all of them, but I just don't have time to do it.
So I just double checked the GORUCK website, and it looks like the 2019 All Ladies events starts on September 27th. So plenty of time to plan your future travel and event schedule if you're listening to this now.
Yes. And like I said, I always tell the ladies, reach out to, I have no problem being a resource for them. Definitely reach out to me. If I don't answer on Facebook, I'm sorry. Send me a few messages. Like, if you keep sending me messages, it'll pop up at the top of my radar at some point. Or don't hesitate to be like, hey, can I get your phone number? I have no problem texting or calling, because that's honestly the easiest way for me to communicate with people. So definitely use me as a resource because like I said, I want to make the all women's events what it once was, where we had, 100 ladies showing up, and it was just a swarm of these badass ladies in one area. Last year, I was really, really, really sad because we had the all women's event in Houston, and it was definitely the smallest class of all women that I had been to. It was supposed to be an HTL, and they canceled the heavy because they just didn't have enough people signed up. But I think there's also a conflict because there's other events going on in the area. So it kind of took away from the numbers that we could have at the all women's event. But I'm a huge advocate for it. I think it's a great experience for women, no matter if this is their first GORUCK event, their fifth, their 10th, whatever. It's just a great time to get together with a bunch of like-minded women who just want to come out, get dirty, have another day at the spa, enjoying some good living, and doing some GORUCK stuff.
For sure. And it looks like if there were conflicts last year, GORUCK might have cleared that up for this year, because the Badass Babes event is on the weekend at the same time as, it looks like, the London Star Course and the New York Star Course. So there shouldn't be any hopefully conflicting GORUCK events in the surrounding area.
Good. That was my number one voicing concern that I sent to HQ, is that, for these big events, we're going to draw a lot of people, just to try to be mindful of that and try to not plan a ton of events so that people aren't conflicted on, well, I can go to this event that all my friends are going to and that my Ruck Club's going to, or I can just go solo to this all women's event that I won't know anybody. And so I want people to not have to make that difficult choice. And I would, like I said, would love to have as many women as possible show up to this event. The bigger we can make it, the better. And yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good thing to send to HQ too. And it's nice that HQ actually takes that advice, because, it's just like what you said. I can't imagine having like if GORUCK came through once or twice a year in my area, and that date fell on the same date that it was a special event that I wanted to travel for, I mean, it'd be tough to say, yes, I'm going to spend all this money buying a plane ticket, traveling, hotel, all that stuff to the, all women's event or to whatever special event it was, when it's tough for me to say because I'm not a woman. But if I was a woman and I was in this situation, it'd be tough for me to spend that extra money, $500+ probably to travel for the event when I could walk out my front door and, drive to an event locally if GORUCK rarely
Right.
comes through. So I'm glad to see them doing that.
Yep. Nope. I wholeheartedly agree. And it does. Traveling, it can get expensive. And that's where I said I love that I've met GRTs all over the country, because if I need a place to stay, typically if I travel to do an event, the GRTs that I know in that city are also doing the event. So, I can carpool with them, or I can, crash on their couch, which is super nice, but it also keeps your travel budget low, because if you don't have to pay for a hotel for that whole weekend and you don't have to get a rental car, that saves you a few $100, and all you're paying for is, food and your flight, or if you are driving there, your gas. So it's just really about making those connections and using your resources available to you, which is readily available to anybody in the community. You just have to reach out and see what you can do to help.
Yeah. Being just a little bit proactive goes a long ways.
Yes.
So maybe don't look for a couch the night before you're flying in. Maybe try and try and plan that a little bit further in advance. But
yes,
that's
I think
super
that's
smart.
the sooner.
So going back on something you mentioned a little bit ago, social media. I feel like I'm in the same boat. It's so tough in this day and age with social media. There's so many different platforms, and there's so many different ways for people to message and communicate. And I find that some of the best times are at GORUCK events. And I don't know if partially because of that is you don't have your phone on you. There's no, constant alerts going off or anything. But I mean, it's so fun to just live in the moment. I took a ton of video for the February rucking challenge, the mile a day, of just places I was rucking, things I was doing to get those miles in. And here we are, middle of March, and I still haven't put put all the clips together because I've been so busy with other stuff. But it's crazy.
It is, and I think for me, because I have some of my family is former police officers, and I always was told, like, be careful what you're posting, when you're posting, and just giving away too much information. So that's the other issue that I worry about too, is I don't feel comfortable with people knowing, like, one thing that really freaked me out once is when I started doing a ton of events, and I was posting on social media regularly. Someone's like, oh yeah, I see that you're in whatever, where are you going to be? So I can, like, come see you. And that, for whatever reason, that just freaked me out. So, I just try to be a little bit more mindful of that, of how much I post when I'm traveling, just because I don't know, I don't know why, it just weirded me out. But also for the fact of, like, I'm so tethered to my phone with clients and talking with people all day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. And so sometimes that's another reason I love GORUCK events. Typically, if I do an HTL, I won't turn my phone on until after the light. Like, even if I have space between events, I will completely stay detached from the world, just because it's so refreshing to not have to be connected to my phone. And a few years ago, I just started taking social media timeouts, or timeouts away from my phone. And it was amazing how much it helped me, like, with anxiety, or just feeling just the need to always check social media. And it really, really, really put me in the check about, being reliant on social media and what other people are doing. And, oh, I need to post so people can see what I'm doing. And it's amazing. I have hundreds and thousands of pictures on my phone, but I don't post. I maybe post 10% of them, just because, like I said, I want to live in the moment. And I have those pictures to share with my family, or to look at whenever I'm like, oh yeah, I did this thing this one time, So I always want to get better at posting, because I get to do some pretty cool things and I get to meet some pretty cool people. It's just a matter of time. Like, if I find myself in that loop of a week where I'm just hectically busy and I'm not on social media, then it kind of goes to the wayside, because I'm just consumed with other things and figuring things out with work or my clients. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but it's social media, I don't know what else to say about it.
the whole taking breaks away from it, not having anything on until you finish your HTL, you really get to experience a different kind of life. And it's weird saying that. It's so bizarre because I mean
It is.
without going like so far off course, like I'm not gonna ask you how old, but when I was a kid, like we didn't have all this social media stuff. And like we just hang out with friends, like just go over to their house and see what they were up to
Yep.
because, you couldn't just text them or like, I don't know, hit them
Yep.
up on Messenger. And so you'd go over there and see what they're doing. You just hang out and just do kid stuff. And now with social media, it's crazy. It just kind of crept up on us. And now I find myself like
Yeah.
taking pictures of my kids at the park instead of, and I'm like, whoa, like, all right, you've taken like 10 already. Like just put the camera away and play with the kids. But
Yep.
it's just a different world we live in now.
It really is. And I'm an 80s baby, so I got to experience the whole like, no cell phones and being, in that old school era. If somebody called and you weren't at home, they just had to wait till you got home before they got your message. And I would not want to grow up as a child in this era with social media. Just seeing my nieces and nephews dealing with the issues that they deal with social media, I'm like, oh my gosh, like if it's growing up as a kid and going through your adolescent and teen years is already hard enough, but to add an extra thing to stress you out about is just like, ugh. I'm
Yeah.
happy I didn't have to deal with that as a child growing up.
Same here. So you've mentioned a couple times that you've got clients, you're a personal trainer. Do you do
Hmm.
personal training for GORUCK events, or do you do just personal training in general? What kind of personal training work do you do?
So I actually own 3 studios in northern Missouri. Two of them are personal training studios where we do a lot of one-on-one training. And then I opened up a yoga studio about a year ago. And we do a variety of training. It really depends on what the client is looking for. So a lot of the clients that I see on a day-to-day basis, my age range is actually very broad. And that's because I live in a small rural area. So I try to provide services for whomever walks in the door, whatever they need. So like my youngest client right now is 12 and my oldest client is 85. So I really have to tailor the workouts depending on like if they have any injuries or if they're training for like a 5K or half marathon. I have a client now currently that's training for an Ironman. So I'm helping her. I have quite a few clients training for half marathons and, 10Ks. And then I'll get the occasional client who will be like, hey, you do these GORUCK things. I Googled it and I really want to do one. And I get so like geeked out and excited whenever I get a client who wants to do a GORUCK event. And I've had quite a few, I always travel and like if a client has an event that they're doing, I always try to travel and do the event with them. So typically I've done all the events that all my clients have done as far as it comes to GORUCK. And it's just so fun to incorporate them into that community, into that experience, because then they get to see what I do regularly. And a lot of them, they'll do 1, maybe 2 events, and they're like, okay, that was enough. I checked that off my bucket list. But like I said, I train a wide variety of people, and I have done online distance training. I have about 10 distance clients that I have now. And again, it's the same situation where they're training for like an NPC or a natural bodybuilding competition or just obstacle course races in general. I've helped people do all kinds of things. So I have a very wide spectrum of things that I get to help people with.
That is so cool. And that's got to be really fun and unique because, I mean, you're not just training the same person over and over. You don't have 20 OCR athletes that you're training. You've got this huge range of
Yeah.
people.
Oh yeah, it's a wide range, and I honestly, genuinely do love it. And my clients do become like my family. They're some of my biggest supporters, and it's so cute because they're kind of like your moms. Like you go out and you're at these events, and they're like, "Oh, this is my trainer. I'm going to pull up her Facebook and show you the crazy stuff that she does." So it's really rewarding and it's very fulfilling, and I just love being able to help people and help them better themselves and push past any physical and mental barriers that they've had when it comes to their own health and wellness.
That is so awesome to hear. So you mentioned that one of the studios that you own is a yoga studio, and that's recent as of a year ago. So I
Hmm.
personally love yoga. I feel like that's helped me out a lot with GORUCK events, with the recovery from them, with a lot of aspects of them. I've talked to a lot of cadre. They've all recommended yoga, and I still see people post things like "Don't laugh, doing yoga for to prep up for this GORUCK event or something." So what are your thoughts on yoga and GORUCK?
I think it's great. I think it can help so much, especially with recovery and or leading up to an event. And again, I got to give a shout out to Megan Horseman. She actually opened the door for me with yoga. I mean, more so, I was integrated in yoga, but she really opened my eyes more into it. And she's one of my favorite yogis. If you ever in St. Louis, I always say take one of her classes. She's awesome. And she's definitely taught me a lot about what you could do with yoga and how you can incorporate it with being just an overall athlete, and how it's an integral part of being an athlete. That's a part of rest and recovery, and just how important. And John Hurtado, he does quite a bit of it as well. He stretches way more than I do, and he always makes me feel bad because I'm like, oh yeah, John's in the corner stretching again. I probably should get down and join him. Because, and I just see how that helps him as an athlete. And he's probably, he's one of those athletes that I look up to. So it's just, I definitely suggest people, if they haven't done it, they should definitely try it. And there's so many resources available near them or even on the internet for trying things out like yoga. So I definitely give it 2 thumbs up. And learning how to meditate, I didn't realize how important that was. And I think being able just to kind of clear your mind and to be in the moment and focus on yourself, whenever I finally figured out how to do that, it was honestly, like I said, life-changing. It allowed me to really focus and hone in on my own athletic abilities, my training, and just helping me be a stronger and healthier with my mental health and my stress. Because like I said, I'm being pulled in 30 directions every day, and being able to take that time, that small amount of time, and just focus it on myself has helped me tremendously. So I think that's something that a lot of people could benefit from.
I'll have to give that a shot. I keep pushing it off because I see, well, for one, I've never done it, so I don't know the results, but I see meditation as something that will take away from time that I already have. Like that's one less video I can make or one less, whatever I can do.
Oh,
But
no. If you can find a yogi that incorporates it into your practice, even better. I have some of my teachers incorporate it into the Shavasana, which is typically towards the end of your yoga practice. And to have that, and whenever I teach my yoga classes, I incorporate it into my Shavasana as well, because you're doing your yoga class, but the last 10 or 15 minutes, I slow everybody down and I make them focus on themselves, even if it is for that 10 minutes of the day. That I think that's just been, my clients have loved it, and they've seen significant improvement with, like I said, them being able to relax and to calm their minds down after a stressful day. And it's just, like I said, I think it's important, for physical and mental health, to be able to learn more about your body and how you can control it, and just be more in control of the responses that your body might have.
yeah, I remember when I started yoga, I did all of my training, well, to start off YouTube, because that's a huge, great resource. You can just YouTube yoga beginner 30 minutes or
Yep.
something, and then comes back like tons of results. And so I did that for about 6 months before I actually started going to a studio a little bit. But I remember at the beginning, whenever the Shavasana was more than 4 minutes, I would get anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to, do this thing that I don't, at first I didn't see the benefits of for 4 minutes. And then after about a month or so, I always got really excited when they were longer, because you could
Yeah.
really feel the benefit from them.
Oh yeah, hands down. And this is going to be my plug for small business owners. Support your small business owners. Like you said, that's awesome. You found a good small yoga studio to go to, because it's just so hard. I always tell people, and like I said, I'm going to get on my small business soapbox. Like, if you have friends that are own a business, like their Facebook page, anytime they post something, if you like it or just ask a random question, the algorithm on Facebook is ridiculous. So doing those small things helps your friends out significantly, because that's somebody in your circle that might see something that they offer that they want to try, or if they own, a product that they're selling, or, other services. So yeah, I always tell people, if anybody sends me a request that like, hey, like my business, I always like it, because my life could help somebody in one of the cities that I have friends in see that they're offering that service. And it's something small that you can do, but you have no idea how beneficial that can be to that small business.
Absolutely. That is phenomenal. Yes. Everyone out there who's doing that already, thank you. And it's the same. I mean, Facebook for YouTube, there's a group of people, I'm guessing, that every time I upload a video to YouTube, I feel like within the first 5 or 10 minutes, it has like 3 or 4 likes. And so whoever that is liking those videos, thank you. Same with the
Yes,
ADR
yes.
posts. And I mean, that stuff just goes so far for small businesses. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
helps amplify the reach and just get more people to see it. And it kind of harkens back to how awful social media is, but it kind of, if you're posting something and you're excited about it and you get some likes back on it, you're like, man, maybe this was a good idea. I'm glad
Right.
I did this. It gives you a little sense of validation. And I guess
Exactly.
so it's very fun being a small business owner, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. And so
Oh my gosh.
to put that lightly. And so all those little wins are nice.
People have no idea how hard it is to be a business owner or a small business owner, because you're always fighting with I always call them Globo gyms, like, the Planet Fitnesses or the Crunch, like the bigger gyms that have more resources or that are more of a corporation. I'm very, very lucky. Like I said, I live in a small rural area, so I don't have a ton of Globo gyms around me. So I'm able to really have a small, like market that I'm targeting specific people who want specific things. So, but even still, like doing my online stuff, like I've gotten most of my clients through referrals, but I've gotten a few because, like I said, I have friends and my clients are awesome at this. If I post something, they all like it. And some of them even share it. Like, especially if we have like a special or deal going on, a lot of them will share that on their own Facebook. And that, like you said, it just helps the algorithm, because that algorithm is just insane. Like, it's forever changing. And if you're not a big Facebook page or have a ton of followers, you kind of get lost in the other pages that are spending, hundreds and $1,000s on budget for sponsored posts and, all that other stuff. But yeah, definitely take that time. Just like your friend's Facebook page. And if you see they post anything, just like it. It doesn't hurt just to like it. So, yeah, that's my soapbox for small businesses, because it's hard. It's not, it's not easy, but it's definitely rewarding at the end. I guess that's why we all keep doing it. So
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding, and it's not easy at all. Don't do it because it's easy.
yeah, it's not easy.
And just the second that crazy algorithm, I had someone comment on, it was probably a podcast episode in the 80s, and they said, "Wow, I didn't even know that All Day Ruckoff had a podcast." And they commented on that on Facebook. I was like, "Whoa, like if that doesn't tell you something about the algorithm." They had liked the All Day Ruckoff page for years, and they had never
Right.
seen I post every single time an episode comes up. And so 80 something posts had come through, and Facebook had never sent it their way. And they were
Yep.
really excited to listen to the whole back catalog, but they had never known it existed. And so it's, that algorithm's a fickle beast.
It is. And I think, and there is a way for you to like go on and say you want to see all the posts from the business. But even then, I still think that's kind of finicky, because I've done that to some of my friends' business pages, and I don't always get the things that they post. So that's why I just constantly and like I said, if you come across your friends, if they have like a special, ask her in question, because having that dialogue interaction on their post also boosts it on the algorithm. So I don't ever get mad at all when my friends ask the most ridiculous questions on posts that I post through my business page, because it helps more people see it. So that's another thing you can do to help your friend's business on social media, is like it and then ask, like, hey, how long is this sale going to be going on? Or is this the only sale you're going to have right now? Like, yeah, just ask anything. And yeah, it definitely helps out.
It does. But I also have to say congratulations that you've got 3 gyms now. I mean, that is so cool.
Well, thank you.
We should do a separate podcast just about small business ownership and how you
We
got it to
should.
3 gyms, because that is such an awesome accomplishment. I mean, especially in the current market, right, where everything's about cutting prices, where I don't even remember what gym it was, but I just saw some ad, maybe Planet Fitness, where they said if you buy their expensive membership, then you can always bring a buddy to the gym. And their expensive membership
Yeah.
was like $19 a month, which is beyond dirt cheap. I was like,
Yeah.
I was blown away at just the way that these businesses are trying to undercut each other. So
Yeah, it's insane. And yeah, owning, I've slowly grown. I started my business in 2013, and I've run into a lot of roadblocks, and that's another reason the past like year and a half has been really difficult for me. And most people don't know, like, because I don't put a lot of my private stuff online, but like I said, my mom was sick for a while, and then I had some issues with some former employees at one of my businesses, and I'm still having to battle that. And now I'm having to like get a lawyer and do some legal stuff. So that kind of stuff really takes a toll, mentally, physically, and for a small business that could be crippling. Luckily I was very smart and I didn't spend it without outside of my means, and I planned and I saved. So I was in a safe space when a lot of these mishaps happened. But it takes away when I have to take away or cancel client sessions because I have to go meet with a lawyer, or I got to go X, Y, and Z running all over because of a situation. It really is disheartening. And it does make you question, like, is this worth it, or am I doing the right thing? But, when I get to meet with my clients and I see their progress, and, we take their measurements, or they do a race and they complete it, it makes all the hard work, definitely hands down worth it. And I appreciate all of my clients, all my local clients, all my distance clients, like anybody that I get to help. I appreciate them. And I try to tell them all the time, because, those clients are what make you tick, and they make you they help you keep running. So I definitely give a lot of accolades to them, because without them, I would not be where I am today. And my staff is awesome. Well, my current staff, they're phenomenal. And with me traveling so much, they're my right hand people, and, they're awesome. And they definitely, the clients love them. And so right now we're in a good place. We're doing good things, and we're moving towards growth again, which is awesome.
that is awesome. And that's, I mean, such a rewarding area that you're in. I recently had a podcast guest ask how I determined if an episode was a success or not. And I thought about that for a minute. And I've actually been thinking about that since he asked that question. He asked if it was, number of downloads, like the amount of the time people listen to it. And my first response was, and I think that's the one that I finally settled on. It's got nothing to do with how many people actually download the episodes. The reach doesn't really matter. It's more of the impact. And
Mm-hmm.
if even one person listens to an episode, and that either makes them, sign up for a harder event to do something that they haven't done before. I mean, even our conversation right now, if someone is listening and they got on because they wanted to listen to a Rucking podcast, but they're also a small business owner and they're struggling with something, and they, hear your story, and that makes them push through. Like, if there's any amount of impact that it has on someone, then I think that is
Mm-hmm.
a success right there.
Oh, I definitely agree. And it really is about, and I measure my business by that too. Like, I'd rather have 5 quality clients instead of having like 30 mediocre clients. Like, I want the clients that are going to put in the work, who want to make a lifestyle change, not the clients that are going to just like, oh, I just want to be here for 30 days so I can look good in my bikini. You know, I do. And I'm very vocal, and I'm very upfront and forward. And I'm like, that's not going to work. Like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I'm not the person for you if that's what you want to do. But yeah, and kind of backtracking on social media, we do have an all women's rucking club. I don't think a lot of people know about it. And it's called Muscle Mafia Ruck Club. And I created it because I felt that I think the Rucking Club is a great idea, like having all these clubs across the United States. But like, for instance, my situation is I live in a small rural area. The closest Rucking Club is either St. Louis or Kansas City, or I'd have to go up to Iowa. But even still then, there's not a lot of women that are active in those clubs. Like Megan Horseman, she's very active, but her and I are really good friends. So not to say that it doesn't count, but like, we push and encourage each other. I want to be able to push and encourage other women as well. And if I'm not in an area that has those, means, I wanted to create that kind of network. And so that's why we created the Muscle Mafia network. And I do hope to do a lot of cool things, offering some patches and shirts. And I've been working with a designer, and shout out and giving another small business plug. Sam All does all of my graphic design stuff when it comes to doing like GORUCK or patches, or he is phenomenal. And he every time I ask him to do something, or I'm like, hey Sam, I need a design for this. He's he like, I tell him what I want, and it's like he's in my mind. He does exactly what I thought, and it's great. So if anybody's ever looking for that kind of stuff, look for Sam All, and he's a GRT. He was in Oklahoma, but I believe he now lives in Texas. But he's phenomenal, and he's going to be helping me with some muscle mafia stuff as well. So yeah, there's that also going on in my life.
You're so busy. So
Yeah.
when did Muscle Mafia start?
Oh my goodness, it's been well over a year. I would say it was around the evolution of whenever GORUCK started creating the ruck clubs. And like I said, no offense about being, because I'm active in all the ruck clubs. Like if I go to a city, like I said, the West Texas Rucking Club, or if I'm in, whatever city, and they're having a ruck off or they're doing something, I'll definitely try to participate. But like I said, I wanted a place for women because, no offense to the GORUCK Tough page, but if someone goes on and asks a question, depending on the day, you get the trolls, and then it deters people from wanting to ask real questions or having multiple questions following up from their original question. So we wanted to create that safe space for women could come and ask questions specific about events, or, women, we have other things we have to worry about when it comes to doing events. So we wanted them to feel comfortable about, hey, ladies, like, I have this issue, or, is this something that I should be concerned with, or, any other issue that they might have or are trying to get past or contemplate. But yeah, we just wanted it to be a space for women to encourage and uplift, and just to have, our own little corner that we can do crazy GORUCK things.
That's perfect. I'm not even going to pretend to know any of the issues that women have at GORUCK events because I'm very much not a woman. But my wife did one light, and that was back in 2013. I think it was one of the 05 somethings, 057 lights. I don't know. It was back when lights were like 8 hours long. And she had so many questions leading up to it about things that I couldn't really answer for her. And so that is so exciting that you have the Muscle Mafia Facebook Ruck Club group. I take it is on Facebook?
Yeah, it's the Muscle Mafia Rucking Club, and it's a private group. I know we have to make a public page, but, like I said, social media. I get to it when I get to it.
Oh my gosh, because all that stuff takes time. And that's, if you're spending 10 minutes on that, that's 10 minutes you don't get to spend on something else. And
right.
if you're a small business owner, you get to the point where even an extra 10 minutes is impossible because you've already life hacked so hard to make the most of every single second of every single day that you just can't find, time for that one more thing.
Oh yeah, you nailed it right there. It's just, I have my to-do list is like forever growing. So it's
Yeah. Someone told me, they're like, you should do this. It only takes an extra 10 minutes a day. I was like, listen, my extra 10 minutes a day, I figured out where that was 3 years ago and I spend it then. Like if there was an extra 10 minutes in my life that I could find somewhere, it's like I would.
That extra 10 minutes goes to my sleep.
Yeah.
And that's hands down. It's like, I have 10 minutes, I'm taking it, like, yes, I'm staying in bed 10 minutes longer. Like,
yes, because sleep's important. I mean, you're training for these events. Sleep is underrated for a lot of people when it comes to how well it can prep you and prepare you for an event. So,
yes, hands down. And people always ask me, like, do you ever sleep? And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, that's me time, sleep.
So, do you mind if I put the Muscle Mafia Facebook group link in the show notes?
Yeah, no, please do.
Because I think that's just such a great resource, especially for women in the community who either might want to talk to other women who are rucking, or people who are new and want to get into this thing but are maybe a little put off by some of the other groups.
And I agree. And Carmela, she's awesome. She's I started Muscle Mafia, but she's definitely stepping up and helping me with some stuff. And we really want to offer some really cool incentives this year for ladies. And I've been trying to talk to some friends of mine, like friends of friends kind of situations, so we can have like some sponsored events or sponsored monthly giveaways or stuff like that. Just to kind of help. Like I said, anything helps. Like we have a lot of moms, we have a lot of people who are, pulled in already and being pulled in a bunch of different directions. So if we can just provide that corner where they can be uplifted, or they can have some friends event too, or, have a group so we can like, hey, who's doing this event? Who's doing this event? And we just want to provide that outlet for women that are in the community.
Is there anything else that you want to touch on, to talk about? I feel like we've got like 2 more episodes worth of content that I want to talk to you about, like the all women's events and one focused specifically on the all female ruck club. But is there anything else that you want to talk about while we're chatting today?
No, like I said, I encourage people if they can to travel to the events. Like I said, it gives you an opportunity to meet different GRTs. Like I said, for instance, Eric Trainer lives in New York, and Hurtado lives in California. So we would have never crossed paths in life. I don't think we would have if it wouldn't have been for doing GORUCK events. So you never know. Like I said, I've met some of my best friends doing these events, and I would not have met them if I wouldn't have put myself out there and just traveled to do an event somewhere. And yeah, the community is great. Get to know the people, do right by people, try to put yourself in their shoes. Everyone's going through their own struggles every day. So before, jumping to any conclusions about anyone, no matter, what they think of the battles that they might be going through that you don't know about. And I think that, the whole like everybody love everybody kind of aspect of things. So yeah, I think that's all I have for now. But yeah, let me know if you ever want to chat again. I'd love to come on and talk about whatever else you have questions about.
Thank you. That's such an awesome way to wrap it up. And it's so true, right? I mean, you don't know, like every now and then someone will speed past me. I'm like, man, come on, really? But like, I don't know. What if like their kids in the back bleeding or their wife's pregnant? They might be going through their very own GORUCK challenge at that moment. And so
Right.
just try and like hold judgment, even if it does upset me, because
and
who
one more
knows?
takeaway is like for us senior people who've done a ton of events, keep in mind, we've done a ton of events and we've been through the ringer, but a newbie, that's their new challenge. That's their new apex. And you have to keep that in mind and not get short with them or get annoyed when they make the same mistake that you've seen time and time again. Let them make those mistakes, let them learn from them, and just kind of be that silent force that's behind them, encouraging and helping them. Because I see far too often we do these events with the same people and they're like, oh my gosh, come on. Like, that's not going to work. No, it's not going to work. But let them just struggle through it. Let them experience that, and then it'll make them a better person.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I like most about GORUCK events is that you can fail at the event, and it's kind of a safe space to fail. You can try stuff out, try out different leadership styles. You can try out, raising your voice and saying, I think we should do it this way if you're a quieter, more introverted person. And, that's definitely a fine thing to do at a GORUCK event, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have to do more PT. It's a relatively safe place to do it. And so, letting people experience that and fail when they should fail and succeed when they should succeed. If you're someone, like you said, you've done 40 something events and you know the proper way to do something, and you say, no, you be quiet. This is how we're doing it. You're essentially robbing them of their ability to learn, just like you had when you were at your first event. So I always try and keep that in the back of my mind. I'm usually the quietest person at events, and I never.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I never.
I take that back. Joking, dancing in the background.
Yeah.
That's me.
when it comes to offering advice, I guess I'm probably one of the quietest, because I just want to see what people are thinking and what people want to do. And you want to say, oh, well, we do have these straps that the cadre is making us carry. Like, maybe we should use them to carry this thing. Like, why are we carrying, why are we carrying all this and all these straps? That would be really useful if we could just put, one and one together. But,
Yes. And also, I want to warn people, be leery. If you do an event with me and if they make me TL, we are doing a dance party. People get so mad, but I'm like, no, you're going to smile. You're going to, jiggle your hips a little bit, but you're going to have fun. So that's my precursor to give people something to look forward to.
That's awesome. Are you going to be down at Reunion this year?
I will. I have plans of being there. So hopefully I'll get to see a ton of people.
Yeah, it should be. It sounds like there's a lot of people going. I hit up HQ and there's already over 120 signed up. So
nice. Oh, I love the reunion. And it is like a big family reunion. And it's hang out with everybody and just, yeah, I love it. It's definitely one event I always suggest people try to make it to.
Thank you so much for listening in. As I mentioned at the beginning, Stephanie and I were talking after the show, and she just unleashed this great piece of advice. And here we are, this post-interview piece of advice on how to clean your bladder hoses from Stephanie.
Oh, and here's another cheat code I learned. So people ask me a lot, how do they keep their bladders clean, especially as it gets warmer. And if you don't clean out your bladder fast enough, it can get mold in the tube. And I always put mouthwash inside my bladder, and I make sure to suck it so it's like in the tube, because the alcohol serves as like a disinfectant, but it also keeps it clean. So like if you're not doing an event for a while, like all my bladders are hanging up in my office with mouthwash in them. So it helps to keep them clean, and it helps for preventing things growing inside of them.
That is great advice. That is awesome advice. I'm going to have to start doing that. I just worked really hard to blow all the water out of mine and to dry them out.
So I just dump the water and just add mouthwash to it.
Perfect.
Not a whole, like I don't add like a whole jar, but like I add probably
the
about
entire Listerine bottle.
Yeah, I don't do the whole bottle, just like a cup or two of mouthwash, so that it's enough to splash around.
That's so smart. And I always get so nervous. I use the source bladders mostly, and those ones, the tube you can't see through, like the MSR tubes you can see through. So if there's something growing in there, like, oh, hey, look at that. It's clear there's something growing in there. I mean, the source tubes are like just a giant box of question marks. You're like, is there something on the other side? I don't know. It was like when that person like started cutting open like those Capri Sun juice pouches, and they found mold inside some of them. It's like, you don't know what's, I mean, that's why they started adding like clear backs, because it was just this giant question mark. What's actually in there?
I agree with you. Believe me, I've been in an event and I thought my hose was clean, and then you take one big gulp and you have some fuzzies in your mouth. You don't want that to happen.
Nope. Then you're, yeah, that is not a good boat to be in, especially if the event's already started and then you're trying to figure out like what's worse for my health, not getting the water or just drinking fuzzies for half an hour.
Drinking fuzzy, nasty water. Yeah, I've been in that boat. You don't want to be in that boat. I promise. It leads to a whole plethora of problems.
Thank you so much for listening to the All Day Ruckoff podcast. This has been episode 93. If you want links to anything we talked about during the show, you can always hit up the show notes at alldayruckoff.com/podcast/episode-093. Stephanie, thank you so much again for taking that time to be on. I know that you're super busy with your gyms, with everything going on in your life. And so the fact that you're able to take all that time and talk, I truly, truly appreciate it. As always, if you want to support the podcast, would love it if you take a couple minutes and head on over to either iTunes or to our Facebook page. If you search All Day Ruckoff on either, it will pop up, and leave a review or recommendation. They're truly appreciated. If you haven't been to our YouTube channel lately, check it out. We've uploaded a lot of videos in the past couple weeks, and there's a lot more on the way. And finally, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support, and I hope you're getting out there, rucking, and getting after it. Don't forget, attitude is everything. Keep yours positive, and drink hard, ruck harder.